The building as a whole just feels really, really cohesive. And my perspective as, designer, it's really exciting to see that because, from walking from any point of entrance in the building, whether it be through the lobby, looking up at the beautiful fixtures above you and the texture on the wall, and then going into the hallways and the elevator, everything feels like it's part of the same holistic project, which to me, that's a key moment of success from a design standpoint because it's, I did my job correctly. Seeing the details of, the construction team and how much they care, that's been really surprising. Most people don't care as much as these guys do and this crew, and to be a part of that, everybody wants to do better for the best part of the project and to do better to see the project reach its full potential.
I started in April, and it was interesting because I didn't get to see the ground breaking. I came in when the second floor was just getting completed, and now seeing all 5 floors up and the drywall going in, and it is a really cool space I wish I would have had a place like that to live in.
Kim's the glue, there's so many moving pieces in these processes, and there's so many things that can easily fall through the cracks, and if they do, big things fall apart. So I always lean on Kim to make sure that we're not missing some of these things that could be easily overlooked. And Kim's also really creative. So she came up with the idea of, hey, let's have an art piece that's a QR code that actually ties back to the project. So, her DNA on the project is not just handling, all of the really important small details, but also the creative side of it. So, integral part of the team.
Relationship building with our tenants, keeping Lev on task, babysitting. He has a lot on his plate. So, working on the website, making phone calls, meetings coming up, eating lunch. He puts the job that kind of comes before him taking care of himself, which is good. He loves his job, and so I'm there to help him, remind him of life. One thing that I think is pretty cool is how Lev has put so much passion into it too. And every piece of it, from the door handles to the windows and the texture on the walls, everything has a lot of thought. He thinks about the person walking into that apartment and wanting to rent it, and he thinks, what do I want to see? I'm excited to see the end, and I can't believe that we're ahead of schedule. To me, it looks like there's so much that needs to be done.
John's timing is impeccable. He joined the team relatively recently, but came at a time where everything was really coming together.
Working with the team is really cool. It's a really small, energetic team. Everyone's doing a lot. My role here at Tideline is pretty dynamic. We've got a few different projects going on at any given time. Right now, my day-to-day, I'm spending a lot of time just trying to make sure the project gets across the finish line. Working with the general contractors and other consultants on our team. Specifically, I've been spending a lot of time focusing on some of the more final elements of the project. Appliances for the amenity deck, electric vehicle chargers, the package lockers, our fiber internet, and kind of smart home functionality. We care a lot about sustainability, and consequently, we went ahead and plumbed the building for massive future expansion of electric vehicles. One of the challenges that we faced on the project is the fact that there's been a global pandemic, and one of the challenges that's come with that has been some of the supply chain issues. So, for example, I'm working on procuring some package lockers, and it's just been a matter of working extra hard with our supplier to make sure we're going to get what we need when we need it when the project opens up. The attention to detail is something that present throughout the project. It's not just some other building. We really care about every single piece and making sure that it's as good as it can be.
I got involved with Found Lofts and Tideline Right when they were first planning the project, Lev reached out to me. So what we do, it's more site driven. So planning the property to receive, the building and improvements that he wanted to put on there and make sure all the utilities, access, grades, drainage, stormwater management is accounted for. Well, there was a few challenges. One was, benching the site and adding retaining to create, parking and enough space for the building and landscaping that need to go in there to make it look good.
I met Lev at Tideline through the Urban Land Institute. We both were participants in a small group of infill developers and architects. He approached me that he had a small site in Vista. It was an intriguing site because it was part of a redevelopment area for the city. And he had struggled over the years to find the right product or building type that would fit both his financial budget and the kind of aesthetic and urban qualities that he wanted to provide in the city.
So Steve was really one of the key people to unlock the puzzle, right? We have all kinds of slope, all kinds of access challenges with that slope, with fitting the parking, with grading and retaining the site. If we can solve that and you can help us figure that out, how do we make the building efficient? How do we put the units in?
Some of the struggles with the site earlier was that it was really two properties. There was a street-facing property that fronted on the sidewalk and the pedestrian space that you'd like to inhabit. The second property was behind it and elevated probably 10 feet higher than the lower lot. It was rocky, irregular in shape, and it was bisected by an easement for sewer and power lines. To combine the two lots was very difficult.
That puzzle piece, that Tetris process of fitting in all the parking and putting in as much density as we can was really kind of a puzzle that had to get solved in order for the project to move forward. Without that, we were actually kind of dead. We had no answer. So we met with Steve and his team and said, hey, here's a challenge.
And what we ultimately decided was that we would use the upper lot for parking and concentrate the people, the habitation, the activity, all in the lower lot where it would really benefit from that interaction with the street level. From the exterior of the building, you don't perceive the underlying simplicity of the plan. And so that helped Lev on the performance side to meet his construction budgets. It helped on the construction side, meaning it was more efficient and more easier to construct by the contractor.
Their team unlocked that puzzle to allow us to move forward.
I think it was a very nice relationship between Tideline and our SDA group. Lev is great at understanding where his expertise lies and where he needs to rely and seek expertise from others. And so as it relates to an architect-developer relationship, I think it was a really nice relationship in that he empowered us to bring our expertise to the table, intelligent enough to question us where we needed to be questioned. There's always a slight give and take between owners and architects, and that kind of push-pull is actually really kind of useful to the design in the end.
The furniture pieces we're bringing in, it's not very typical for a leased building or for rental properties. I really wanted to push the boundaries with the design to have these spaces feel more like a boutique hotel or a permanent living space and not just, a temporary space, right? Which is what a lot of developers and places have. The sofas that we use are all from Timothy Olton, known as more of a luxury designer, but most importantly to me, the leather that's sourced in it comes from a sustainable resource. The woods are predominantly found pieces of driftwood or taken from old ships. There's a sustainable aspect to a lot of it, but also, again, tying back into this idea of found objects or, found, thinking, found thoughts, whatever they may be. I think a lot of that ties into the pieces that are here. The project name Found Lofts is really special because to me, it represents something of the underlying aspect of exploring and adventuring. The chaos of the world that we live in is truly the jungle. It's truly the exploration of life and what it is. And to be able to discover a place that feels safe, that feels inspiring, and gives you those emotions when you walk into it or when you see it. Like, to me, that's what Found is, right? Like, this idea that I've been seeking this thing for so long. I didn't know what I was seeking, but in all my travels and all my experiences, I came across this, and this idea of something that was once lost is now found.